thank you so much for joining us, George, the original madman. It is truly a pleasure and a privilege.
I'm afraid I am being called and have been called and continue to be called the original madman. And you must understand, I hate madmen. Hate them, you know. Young people look at that show and they say, oh, how glamorous. That's the way advertising was in the 60s.
Right.
And I want to know what's glamorous about men who are racist, anti-Semitic, anti-ethnic, womanizers, they drink and smoke themselves to death, and worse than anything, they have no talent. What could be worse than that? And you're calling me the original madman?
No way.
That's not me.
But unfortunately, Mad Men, the series, is the only reference to people like me of what advertising was in the 60s.
You are saying exactly to me what a lot of young professional women say. They say, gee, it must have been wonderful back then. I said, yes, it was. But, you know, it's just like, I mean, the Mad Men show really shows what it's like. No, it doesn't. The 60s was a heroic period in advertising, in mass media. Heroic. Because I left Doyle Dane, where I was a very important art director, and I started the second creative agency in the world. Bill Bernbach, who did the first one, thought I was crazy. Everybody thought I was crazy. They didn't think it could be successful. There could only be one creative agency. I started it. We immediately were successful. And what happened from that success, what happened is a year later, Sally McCabe sold another, a year later, Carl Alley, a year later, Wellswitch Green, etc. Before you knew it, there were like 7 or 8 terrific creative agencies, and everybody in America thinks of that period, if I list one to you, as, wow, what advertising. And it only came from like 6 or 7 agencies against trillions of dollars of advertising, and everybody only talked about that, and everybody thinks of that period as heroic, and it was heroic. It was the beginning. It was the creative revolution. So that's the problem. Young women, men too, but young women say, "Oh, what? You want to work for? Would you work for those bums? all they try to do is stuff you."
True. So basically, what you're saying is, if that depiction is completely off the mark, just take us back. Take me back to how it was truly in the 60s and how different is it today, then and now.
Sure. The only place that was where advertising was great was Doyle Dane Bernbach. It started in the mid-50s. And it was because a man by the name of Bill Bernbach, who was a copywriter, was lucky enough to go to an agency where there was a young art director, was the first modern art director called Paul Rand, and who wrote his own copy and did his own work. And he was only a young man, and he was on top of the world because he did great work. And what Bill Bernbach learned is, my God, if you work with a great graphic designer who can create images, advertising could be 10 times better. And I said, yeah, of course. So he started an agency called Doyle Dane Bernbach. It was the first agency with the art director. Art directors and agencies, all agencies, would sit in their rooms with their thumbs up their ass, waiting for a copywriter and a cat guy to come in with copy, with everything worked out, and say, here, do a layout. Art directors were not involved in any way, shape, or form with the creative conception of advertising. And all of a sudden, Bill Bernbach started an ad agency, and there were luckily 2 or 3 terrific young talents, and he put them together with some terrific writers and a great agency. It was nirvana to work in our agency, and there was no womanizing, and there's no bullshit, and there was no group growth. There were no people getting together to work on things. No, an art director and writer worked alone. You know, there was no paralysis analysis. You know, analysis paralysis where they sit and go, no, I decided we're going to do it. We do it. Boom, bada, boom, bada, bang. We did great work.
Now that you've given me a sense of how it was, you're also very aware of how it is today. I mean, advertising has lost its respect, has lost its glory.
If you think people are stupid, if you think people are dumb, you'll do dumb work.
And that is the problem today?
One of the big problems, sure. I think people are too incredibly smart about advertising. I think they could smell something exciting like that, and they could smell bullshit like that. Young people today, I've heard them say it a million times, you should never let people know that you're asking for something. I say, excuse me? It's called advertising. When I do advertising, I want my MTV. I say it a million times. I say, are you crazy? They really think it's wrong. They're embarrassed about selling. Oh my God! If you're embarrassed about selling, what in the world are you doing in advertising? I love selling, but I love selling on the way I want to sell, and I love selling the product I want to sell. But what I love doing is convincing people to do something. It's called mass communication.
Sure.
And they're embarrassed about it. Oh no, let's just do a little story. And you watch commercials, most commercials today, and you can watch it for 30 seconds or 60 seconds and say to yourself, what was that, and what was the client? Happens all the time. You go to the hotel. What was that about? And what was the client? And I've taught classes where, I say, Mr. Lois, but yeah, you say that, but did you see that? And they would describe a commercial to me, a beer commercial. And everybody in class, oh yeah, we like that. What do you think of that? I said, yeah, I remember the commercial. Now, what brand were they selling? And the kids in the room were having an argument, and they named 4 different brands, and they were having an argument what was the brand.